Hi, I'm Alpha Muddy Study, bringing you another episode in our Take 10 challenge, and we're up to number 4. This one's all about expenses, keeping a track of where our money goes. There's my disclaimer: facts and figures, information only. This is not advice. Well, the dreaded word, there it is, a budget. It's a bit like telling a person who's on a diet, or someone trying to lose weight, they need to go on a diet. These things are seen as something terrible, something we should avoid, when in fact it's something that we really should embrace. I mean, I'm not suggesting for 1 second that we have to every fortnight sit down and look at what we spend and where it went. No, look, that's not what we're about. What we're trying to do here is get a handle on where our money goes, so we get a far better feel for it, and then develop good habits, so that we don't even need to think about it. We know where we'll spend less than we are earning. So a budget's it's a slap in the face to bring you back to reality, to work out what's going on right now. So it's just literally setting the scene for a future situation. Now, if you've already got surplus cash flow and you've got oodles of money to spare, lovely. But even then, I would even then, and even under that circumstances, probably still suggest you do write it down to see where the money goes, because normally if we can see it in our face, it's in our face, we can indeed make changes. And if you don't need to make a change, wonderful, wonderful. So a budget. And these days, obviously, with the electronic banking and so forth, it's so much easier to keep a track of where our money has gone. Once upon a time, I'm showing my age, it was a case you got your pay packet, opened it up and there was cash in there, and you went out and about and you spent the money, and fortnight later you got another little brown envelope with some cash in it, and so it went on. And it was always a bit more difficult to track, because unless you wrote it down, there was no paper trail of where your money went. These days, we just about buy everything on some form of plastic or bank transfer or something where there's a record to see where the money came from and where it went. So you can go back through your bank cards, your bank statements over the last 6 to 12 months. You might be able to do it just for 3 months, and then just sort of multiply it by 4 to give us an annual figure. Ideally 12 months, because that way you'll pick up things that might be an annual bill, like your house insurance or a car insurance or car registration and those sorts of things, and put them into a spreadsheet. Now, if you're any good with Excel, you can create your own little spreadsheet, but there are certainly lots of them are available to you. I do like the one that's on the Money Smart website. Money Smart, it's moneysmart.gov.au, so it's a government website run by ASIC. And because it's a government one, you don't get all the pop-ups and advertising and all the things you may get on other websites talking about budget. But the idea is that you've got a spreadsheet that effectively is showing you your columns of the different types of expenditure. So you might be lumping together all of your utility bills, so electricity, your gas, your water. You might be putting together your entertainment, which could include your gym, going out to the movies, going out to restaurants and so forth, and we can lump them all together into those sort of categories. You may have a category that's not on the Money Smart one. Well, okay, just you can usually create it or change the name of something that you may not use. There might be one there for childcare, which you don't need anymore, and so it goes on. So the idea is here why we want to put them into categories is because most categories can either then be split into two, where they're either a discretionary expense or a non-discretionary expense. Now, non-discretionary expense is basically, those things we've got no choice about. So these are the needs, these are the mortgage, the rent, the rates, and all those sorts of things. Things that we really got not a lot of choice about. Having said that, we will talk about how to sort of look for better deals on those things. But in general, we've got to pay those things no matter what we do in some form or another. Whereas our discretionary expense is the things that we want, and it would probably include our holidays and our gym membership and all the things that we classify as fun, the things that we want to do. Having said that, if going to the gym was the thing that got you out of bed in the morning and makes you function, and if you couldn't function if you didn't go to the gym, well then perhaps you've got to move it into a non-discretionary catalogue. Again, but having said that, is there a cheaper gym? Is there something that you could set up at home? Could you go jogging or riding a bike rather than going to a gym to run on a treadmill or sitting on a stationary bike, and so it goes on. So the idea here is we're looking to minimise. We're not trying to eliminate fun, that's for sure. I mean, obviously, if you're in a dire straits, yep, it may be a case where you have to eliminate fun for a while. I remember coming out of my hole. I literally was living on pasta and rice for a long time. It wasn't probably good for my health, but certainly my budget for food was certainly something that wasn't going to break any banks, that's for sure. And really lashed out. I had pasta with rice. Oh, gosh, I never forget. Anyway, so it comes down to we're trying to minimise these things, anything that's wasteful, because what we're trying to do here is pick up some spare money, and we're going to utilise the spare money. And if we can't pick up any spare money, if we don't have any spare money, then we basically cannot move forward. You're just going to stagnate, and money comes in, money goes out. And I've seen some people who have got extraordinary ability to budget on, very low incomes. I had a client not that long ago who was single, on the Centrelink age pension, non-homeowner, so she was renting on the non-homeowner's age pension and eating and paying rent. And she put a smile on her face. Yeah, it's not too bad, is it? And I'm thinking, how does someone actually do that? Fantastic ability. And she was not going backwards. She actually had savings capacity. I'm not saying everybody could do that or would want to do that, but in her circumstances, she basically had to. And she found ways and means of still putting a smile on her face at the end of the fortnight. So it really is a case of, with these things that are discretional, we'll worry about the non-discretional later, where we work out how we can sort of save money on those. But with our discretional, it really is a case of now trying to prioritise. Is which one really brings you joy? Which one really brings you joy? And is there something else out of our discretional that we can cut back on, so that we don't have to cut back on the thing that really gets us out of bed in the morning? So it's a case of prioritising here to put our effort into the one that we really want to sustain our happy lifestyle at the expense of something else. So we're going to give a sort of a priority list from that point of view. And it could be a case that you love reading. Well, that doesn't mean you need to stop buying books. Don't ever tell me to do that. I love my books. Don't ever tell me to stop reading. But if I remember, I used to spend a lot of time at the library. I used to be one of these people that used to buy magazines all the time, and magazines were, fun. I liked my cycling magazines, and I would buy these things, and they would sit on the coffee table, and I'd flick through it while I was watching TV. And then I'd sit on the coffee table and think I'll read the rest of that later on. And by the time I got round to it, the next edition was out, and so that one got put on a pile of, ones that I'd read, but I'd never actually read it in full anyway. So when I started to realise the amount of money that I was spending on those sort of things and not utilising the waste of the money, and a lot of these things you can still get even magazines at the library to go and have a read, but basically buy a book, borrow it, and there's your thing that you can refer to during idle times, and so it goes on. So is there a better way that we can do these things that we enjoy and still save money. So, as I say, this is not a lifetime thing. We don't have to do a budget every fortnight. What we've got to do is do a budget initially to find out where our money's gone, look through it, try and work out where the money's going. And of course, if our budget is bigger than our income, then we certainly, things have definitely got to go. If we've got a neutral situation, well, we've still got to get rid of something, so we've got a bit of spare cash. And then if we've got a bit of spare cash, how much is it? And could we even free up a bit more? And so it goes on. I'm going to push you to your boundaries. That's what it comes down to here, to really get you to see that some of these things right now could be wonderful, but what could we do with that money if it means that I can retire earlier or go on a more extended holidays or do the things that you really want to do. So it's a case of getting it organised. Now, you may be the sort of person that you need to keep a budget for a year or two because you just keep on falling off the tracks and other things arise. The situation changes where you need to update a budget. But ideally, we develop good habits, and so that this order becomes pretty much automatic. And so we are going to learn to lower our expenses. That's number one. We're going to learn to lower our expenses, as this has got double benefit. If we lower expenses, we're spending less, we've got more money right now. But the best benefit really is the fact that if you learn to live on less money, you don't need as much money in the future. Therefore, we don't have to be saving as much for our retirement because we've already proven we can live quite happily on less. Now obviously if you're miserable, then okay, we need the more money. This is a balancing act between now and your future you, and what you're trying to achieve now and again in the future. We don't want to be giving up everything right now, being absolutely miserable if it's all for the future, and then of course we don't live long enough to enjoy it anyway. But to say, look, I'll worry about that in the future, no, that's burying your head in the sand. Then if you are spending too much now, then we've got to go through some pain. There's no easy way. There is no easy way. I don't have miracles. I'm not your fairy godmother here. I'm here to help you understand that you have got a problem and you need to address it. You've got to wear your big boy pants or your big girl pants. You can't rely on parents or friends and bail you out all the time. If you're going backwards, you have to do something about it. Be it earn more money, spend less. And generally it's easier, more quite often, to spend less in some cases. Okay, we're going to talk about making more money later on. It's a case of pain now for future gain later. Or it could be both. Oh, heaven forbid. So we're going to keep track. Now, this is where it gets interesting. When I was struggling financially, I went to my accountant. I needed an accountant for my little business that was doing very badly. And I said to him, I'm in a bit of a pickle here. I need to do something in a hurry. And he said, okay, give me $2 and I'll fix your problem. And I'm going, for $2 you can fix my problem? I'll see if I can find $2. I'm rummaging around in my pocket, found $2 and gave it to my accountant. He said, he opened up his drawer, he pulled out these little notebooks and handed it over. Now, in this day and age, you could do this on your phone or your iPad. You don't need to have a little notebook. But in that day and age, it was a case of pen and paper. So he then gives me this book, and it's a blank notebook. I was looking for some sort of gems of inspiration in this notebook. And he said, what you're going to do here is you're going to become accountable for your expenditure. And I didn't like the sound of that. But what it came down to is he said, you're going to ask yourself 3 questions before you open your wallet or before you pull your money out of your wallet. You're going to buy something, and every time you spend, be it $1 on a donut, it'll probably cost you more than that now, or you're going to spend $20 on whatever it may be, you're going to write it down in this notebook. And before you buy that thing, you're going to ask yourself 3 questions. Do I really need this thing today? Is it absolutely imperative I get this thing today? Will I still need it tomorrow? Is it something that is really helping me longer term here? Does the purchase match my goals? Is it really going to get me to where I need to be? Now, obviously, if it's something you have to spend the money on, well, okay, that satisfies that first question. But and obviously, it satisfies the next 2 because you've got to do it anyway. But if this is a discretionary item, then you ask yourself these questions, and it wakes you up, I tell you. But it gets worse because you're going to be accountable. He said to me, you're going to write every single dollar you spend into this book. And then you're going to come back and see me in 2 months' time, and you're going to show me your book. And I'm going, ooh. So someone's going to see how much money I spend on, magazines, donuts, or whatever it may be, is your little quirk where a few dollars disappear here, your cigarettes or your, whatever it may be, your vice of some kind that you may have. Maybe a good vice, but where's the money going? So we ask yourself these questions, and then you've got to be accountable for it. And when there's someone going to look at where you spend your money, boy, oh boy, do you change your attitude. Now, you don't need to use an accountant. It could be a good friend. They may not be a good friend after they look at your list, but someone who's going to hold you accountable. Now, it could be a case that you swap your book with your partner. Wow, I tell you what, that will soon, as a couple, lower your expenses, I can tell you, if each partner is looking exactly at every dollar that goes out the door. Now, it's not a time to nitpick. That's not the whole idea of this thing. But it's a case that if you are not comfortable with showing someone who you love or care for or, admire about spending money on something, then why are you spending it if we need it? Now, so if you're going to afford to be frivolous and spend the money, go for it. No problem at all. Turn off this episode and go look for one that's suitable to you in the future here. But if it's a case that you are uncomfortable in buying this thing because now someone's going to see what you spent your money on, isn't that the thing that you should be focusing on? Now, okay. So this is how we start looking at it. You're making yourself accountable. Now, so you might only have to do this a couple of times. You might only have to do it once because it just is frightening what it actually means to be accountable for your expenditure. Now, I'm not going to go through in this session. Obviously, we're running out of time here. We're well over our 10 minutes for our daily challenge. But there are thousands of books on and websites and podcasts on how to reduce your expenditure. We can touch on some of these, but you see, me telling you to reduce something may not be the thing that you can reduce because of your circumstances. So, get a book out of the library, do some Googling on reducing expenditure, budgeting, all that sort of stuff. And if I'm not available for a video one day because I'm having a break or I'm gone away or something, then go. You've already got that information to dive into for your 10 minutes every day. It's fun, isn't it, to start thinking about these things that we sort of take for granted. Good luck with it. We're here to help. Talk on another session.